Konnichiwa. So, I'm in a different location because I'm getting married this week, but I wanted to make sure that in my video this week that everybody got to see the test results. So, we're going to cut away to a segment of me and Will reviewing each of the segments, and then you'll get to see the tests that I did as well, me introducing myself to a native speaking Japanese speaker. I think that this is a really challenging test. You'll get some feedback about what I did well and what I did not so well, where I have some areas to learn still. And I think that it'll be really informative to everybody to see the progress that I've made. You know, if you told me 3.5, 4 weeks ago that I was going to be able to even have a conversation, a basic conversation, or any kind of introductory conversation with somebody in Japanese, and I was going to be able to hear words that they were saying and understand what they were saying so that I could have some kind of comprehensive discussion with them, I would have said, no way. So, without further ado, I'm going to cut to that, and I will see you guys next week after I get married. We'll have some footage of that when we get there too. So, looking forward to everything. Everybody have a great week, and mata ne. Hey, Will, thanks for meeting with me today.
No problem.
So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be reviewing the test videos finally. So there are 3 test videos. The first one we're going to look at is Nicole's, and then we're going to meet with Seikei, and then the last one will be Shane, who gave us a lot of feedback to work with. So I think we should just go ahead and jump right in, watch the first video with Nicole, and then we can comment from there. Sound good?
All right, let's check it out.
All right. Hajimemashite.
はじめまして。
Nathan です。
私は金です。
よろしく。
よろしく。
Okay. お元気ですか？
はい、元気です。ネイテンさんは？
はい、元気です。Yeah, I don't know what else. All right, so that was pretty basic. You know, it's really, really short. She was really gracious about that. Any thoughts about that? Where could I be doing better? What are the next steps from that kind of conversation?
You know, like you mentioned, this was very straightforward. We didn't get in a lot of the, additional details that you can put into a jiko shokai. But I'm reading her grades for you, and she was pretty kind, pretty favorable. Yeah. This was about as bare bones as a jiko shokai can be. That being said, nothing like glaring jumping out at me that was like, out of place or, didn't sound natural. I'm looking forward to the next 2, though, to get a little bit more meat on the bones, if you will.
Right. And I would say Nicole had more things that she wanted to talk about or more things that she thought we should kind of discuss as part of the process. And I wasn't really prepared. I didn't have the vocabulary to discuss the things she was talking about. And so then that's a little limiting, right? And so you'll see that in the Seikei video and the next video, it gets a little better. But again, when he starts to ask me questions about about me, I don't know exactly how to phrase the responses, or I'm missing vocabulary or pronunciation. So why don't we jump into that next video? We'll look at that and we'll discuss some of those problems and questions afterwards.
All right.
はじめまして。
はじめまして。
ネイセンと申します。
はじめまして。セイケイと申します。
よろしくお願いいたします。
よろしくお願いします。
Okay, ne, okay, again. Okay, oh no, okay, yeah, can't speak. Okay, 元気ですか？
元気です。ネイソンさんはお元気ですか？
はい、元気です。どこに住んでいますか？
私は今大阪に住んでいます。ネイソンさんは今どちらにお住まいですか
？New York.
Yeah.
Something. I'm gonna have to learn how to say that I'm from New York, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's the second introduction. Definitely a little more complex. As you heard, Seikei lives in Osaka, so it's great to get feedback from somebody who actually lives in Japan and is a native speaker. So thoughts on that introduction from him?
Yeah, I was really glad that one of your introductions was able to be with someone who was a native speaker, like you said. Going through your grades really quickly, it looks like he gave you 2.5 for comprehension and fluency. I think his assertion is fair. that almost everything you said, I could understand it, but we can work a little bit more on intonation, pronunciation, sounding a little bit more confident to get that fluency that you're looking for. And, you know, like you mentioned with Nicole's, we're going to be tackling more grammatical themes and sentence structure in the next couple of weeks. So that will definitely assist with this going forward. Vocabulary is the main thing that he had for you. He thinks that if your vocab gets up, then that's going to improve things across the board for you.
Right.
And I agree, mostly agree with him.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I don't think anybody said like, oh, you're not saying that syllable correctly or anything like that. It wasn't really feedback like that. Right. It was more about like, well, you have to deepen your vocabulary so that you can have a better handle on the language. It's interesting though. I think most people rated me rather well on the communication portion, including Seikei, who gave me a 4. And that's the highest grade he gave me out of the different areas in which we're grading. And it's interesting because I think that leads to some clarity around what we're doing correctly. Meaning, you know, when we're asking a question, it sounds like a question. You know, if there's any kind of back and forth dialogue, my facial expressions and my hand gestures and the tones that I'm using suggest whatever is actually happening, that, you know, that creates the kind of the full package of what it looks like to communicate to somebody versus just having the vocabulary to speak with those things.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, it goes back to this thing about being like a first grader, right? When you have limited vocabulary, you tend to find some really creative ways to say things because you only have so many words to use to say them. And I definitely feel like, you know, I'm in the first grader zone. Well, with that said, let's go to the Shane clip. The Shane clip is the most complex clip and gave us the most amount of feedback. So let's jump to that now.
はじめまして。
はじめまして。
Nathan です。
はい、シェインです。
よろしくお願いします。
よろしくお願いします。
今何時ですか？
今は東京に住んでますから午後10時50分です。今何時ですか？10?
I don't know how to say clock though either. So how do you say like 10 o'clock?
10時。
10時. Okay, 10時. In New York. And New York is like New York? New
York.
New York. Hi. Okay.
All right, so that was the introduction with Shane Ball, who everybody might know as well, Poker. You know, we just did a stream together on Twitch a few weeks ago. Really great. Had a really fun experience with that. Streaming is not something that's part of my life. It's more part of your life than mine. And it was great. It was a great experience. I would say the big downfall was we did it on Japanese hours, and I was in New York. So I think I was doing it from 11 p.m. until 4 a.m., which was a little.
I was able to catch a little bit of it. It looked like fun.
It was a lot of fun. Doing the home game was a lot of fun. So, all right, thoughts on Shane and his feedback? I know he really gave us a lot of written feedback in regards to the grading.
He really did. I love that he took this with such an intense approach compared to what we've looked at so far.
Yeah,
because
academic.
he was able to pick out, Perry. He was able to pick out, multiple instances where he wanted to pull something specific from the conversation, talk about what you said and then why it needs to be changed. He mentions that your comprehension and fluency, again, are about a 2. Which I think was fair. You guys got into a little bit more conversation in your talk, which I really appreciated.
Yeah.
But one of the main things that he brings up is different topics that get brought up alongside your Jiko Shokai, and how you don't just talk about, yourself in a normal like introduction way. There's always something you want to bring up about yourself that's you might not expect in a self-introduction.
Yeah.
So
especially in the West, right? In the West, we don't go up and say, hey, this is my blood type. Hey, this is my hobbies. Hey, this is my family, whatever. And that seems to be much more common in Japan specifically.
Oh, yeah. And the blood type in particular just seems totally out of left field, but culturally is not that uncommon because, a lot of people believe that blood type is associated with, personality traits, like very closely linked. And I can't say I feel the same way. But yeah, he talks about a couple of things like this goes back to what Seikei was talking about with your vocab when you try to say New York. And because you've only been exposed to so many katakana words, instead of knowing how to say like New York, it ends up as, I think you said like New Yoruko or something like that.
Yeah.
So in that sense, Seikei was very correct in that having the boost in vocabulary actually would go a long way, making a difference. But yeah, he also mentions like in the communication, he's very complimentary. He talks about how you achieved what you were setting out to do. Your Jiko Shokai was successful, but the conversation could have been improved. And like I said, in the next weeks, we're going to be working on sentence structures and other grammatical.
Ways to deepen that for sure. Understood. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and we're like the back and forth of a conversation is going to become way more natural. That was one of the biggest hurdles across all three of these.
Yeah.
So we're going to be tackling and improving these things going forward for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you doing this, and I think that doing tests are really important for us as individuals when we're trying to learn something, because it gives us markers for kind of where we're at, and allows for us to set some milestones and some goals for like, okay, we know this is going well. We know maybe the pronunciation and the syllable portion is going okay. So we know that maybe we don't need to work on that quite as much, and we need to expand onto this. We need to expand onto this. And it's a great reminder too that, we're really doing this in the right way. Like I'm learning the different symbol systems to develop a real understanding of the language, instead of us just trying to jump in and address the questions and vocab and the kind of phrases and dialogues. We're really starting from the foundational points so that I have the capacity to actually learn the language. And so when you're doing that, I think that, up front, it's going to be slow, and then you're going to be able to spin that into some actual fruits kind of down the road.
Yep, definitely agree.
So, all right, well, I thank you for your time. Really appreciate your help with reviewing these videos with me today. And, I think that it will give everybody a good understanding of, where I started and where I'm at, and we'll see where we can take it in the coming weeks.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
All right, man. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, man. See you later.
All right, bye, guys.